Just in case, if you are still not clear about why do we need to manage metadata, based on the previous example, I asked you to get some questions. If you give it to different team members, what kind of questions could come, all those things. Let me also give you a food for thought on what are some of the different questions which we will be able to answer if we manage metadata. Metadata helps us answer who created the data. If you take transaction amount as an example, who created it? Probably it'll start with the business analyst who has given you the requirement, but that is within your own team. What is it at the enterprise level? Anytime you think of metadata, you should always try to come up with a solution or an answer which anybody could understand outside of your team department and across the enterprise. Who's using it? Great, there is data in your data warehouse, in your data lake, in your reports, data visualization, dashboards. Awesome. But who's using it? Who are the end consumers? That is also one of the metadata aspects. What is the content of the data? Well, in our example, it is the dollar value. It's a numeric value. But based on other things within your project, the content is also important. What is its actual business definition? The definition which we've seen earlier could be something which I've made up from my understanding. But is it the actual definition? Is it what the business will understand when you go tell them? Or will they say, I'm sorry, I didn't get it? What data or information exists? If you take the transaction amount as an example, right now it is the sales data which is aggregated on a daily basis. That's the information which is existing. What other names has it been called or is being called? Is transaction amount the transaction amount across the enterprise? Meaning, is it called as total sales in ETL, total transactions in reporting, and in the final business analyst or data science or whoever is accessing it, is it called something else? So what are the other synonymous names which this attribute is being called with? And why do we need it? Why do we need to aggregate the total sales? Why do you need a daily number of aggregation? What are you trying to achieve out of that? When was it first created? When was it created? When was it last updated? When will it be the next update refreshed to get the latest data? Where is it geographically? Meaning it can be two different ways. One, if you go with the transaction amount example, one, is it only for the geographic locations of US or some other country or a global location, or where is it actually stored? Are you using a data lake of your own, or are you using a cloud hosted data lake, or are you using a data warehouse which is hosted in so and so data center? Where is it being used? Well, in the examples of whichever I have taken, right now it's ETL and reporting, but where else is it being used? How was the data developed? There is an aggregation in ETL, there is a data lake, there is a data warehouse, and then there is reporting. How is it interrelated to other information? Meaning, once you put it in your data lake, which other team is accessing it? Who else will be using that data? Why was the data developed? Well, I think these two correlate, but again, how and why are different questions, and that will also add up to the question of why do you need the metadata? These are at a high level some of the questions, and remember we are talking about only one attribute here, which is nothing but the total transactions. I would have called it as transaction amount a couple of times. It is the total transactions. Hope I was able to get some context around why we need the metadata and made you think about how could it help, or probably some of you would have already been questioned about these. You would have replied to them on email or chat or put some document around it, and that document was created 2 years back. Now there are changes. Nobody cared to ask. Nobody knows what is the latest change. All this sound familiar, right? So that's some of the questions which metadata can help us answer.